Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and this cute skunk block is the newest block in the Funny Faces Quilt Block of the Month Club. When I say newest or current block, it is right now December 15th, 2021, and this block just dropped into the club today. So if you're already a member of the club, you'll find this pattern right now in the clubhouse for you to download. It'll be there in the clubhouse through January 15th, 2022, at which point it'll be replaced with the new pattern in the Block of the Month Club. If you're looking at this video after January 15th, 2022, you will find this in the shop at Shiny Happy World sometime early in February, sometime in the first half of the month. So I'm going to show you how to make this block. Let's do it. Okay, here's how we put this skunk together. So I'm going to show you how to do this with a purple skunk, just because it makes it much easier to see what is going on. The black and white is very difficult to see on video. So we're going to start, as always, or almost always, with the piece that's got a straight edge on it. Those straight edges almost always line up with either mostly the bottom raw edge of the block, every once in a while on the side. But I right on there, line this edge up with the raw edge at the bottom of your block. So that is always the piece that I start with. And I'm going to shift it a little bit over to the side. I think his tail is on this side. Yeah. So next up, we're going to tuck the tail in behind that. I'm just going to shift this block up a little bit so you can see that lower edge. So next up, we're going to put the tail piece in. And that also has a little straight edge, but we're going to tuck that underneath the body piece. And then I am going to shift it over just a little bit more to get him with his tail just a little more centered in the block. It doesn't have to be exactly centered, but I just want to make sure that the tip of that tail isn't coming too close to the edge there. So I've transferred all of the dotted lines here. So as long as my body piece covers up this line on the tail piece, I know I've got enough overlap for that to be secure when I stitch it all together. So next up, we're going to do the stripe on the center of the tail. And it's got some lines right here showing us exactly where that goes. And just like the tail piece, we just want to make sure that it is tucked under the body, and we want the tail to go right up to the tip of the darker tail piece. All right, then we can put the head in place. And this shows us how much it needs to overlap. There we go. Now we're going to put in some ears. So there's one ear. This line tells me that I transferred from the pattern. This line shows me where the ear goes, and the line on the ear shows me how much it needs to overlap. Same thing on this side. Now the ear goes behind the body, but in front of the tail. You've got to imagine that the tail is coming back all the way on the back part of his body. All right, we're almost done. Let's put in this center stripe for his forehead. And that we're just going to line up with the top edge of his head. And then I'll put his lighter belly patch in. And that also lines up with the raw edge of the block, just that line those straight edges up at the bottom. Then we've got his nose, which is going to overlap the bottom of that center forehead stripe. So it kind of disappears in there. And we just line up the point at the bottom of the nose with the line that I transferred for the mouth. And then we just have two eyes. So there's one eye. And the other eye. All right, so I'm going to take this over to my ironing board, double check, make sure nothing is shifted in carrying it over there. If I weren't doing this on video, I would actually layer this on my ironing board so I don't have to transfer it over later. But make sure that everything is exactly where I want it to be. Then I'm going to fuse it into place. Then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and do all of the outline stitching, and then I'll bring it back here and I'll show you the finished block, and I'll also show you some blocks in other colors that I did. All right, here he is, all finished. I've done all of the outlining. I go over everywhere with 3 rows of stitching, except for on the eyes and the nose, since it's dark stitching on the solid black and you can't see it anyway. I don't do that to add strength to it. I just do that because I like the look of it looking kind of sketchy and scribbly, like a picture I drew in my sketchbook. So this is the version with the fantasy colors that just made it much easier for you to see what I was doing on the video and to see the outlining. But now I want to show you a couple of other combinations too. First up, another fantasy version. So here he is in light aqua. I just wanted to show you that it's possible to do a very pastel version too if you were making a baby quilt or something like that. So for this one I used the Dots bundle and the Gingham Play bundle. And on this one, I just used the Rainbow Brights bundle, just to be clear on that. Also, while just flipping that over reminded me, it is really, really easy sometimes to forget to outline the eyes and the noses. So, because since you can't see the stitching, just at a glance, it's easy to overlook whether you've done that or not. So I just am in the habit of always flipping my block over before I decide that it's finished, and just double checking and making sure that I've outlined those black on black pieces. So now here are a couple of black and white versions. This one uses black and white prints, so it's not solid black and solid white, but for the black places I used mostly black and white prints, and for the white pieces I used mostly white, black and white prints. And I think that's a really cute way to show it. A couple of things: if you go with a really, really dark color for the face, like black, like an actual skunk color, and you want those eyes to show up, which I think you do, you're going to want to put a little color behind that. I don't like to put white behind my eyes because I think that makes them look scared. So I will very often use a gray, or I will use a lighter version of whatever color I've used on the face. Not always, but that's very often what I'll choose. And the pattern will have a link to a tutorial showing you how to do that sliver of a ring of color behind the eyes to let them show up on a dark colored background. So on this one, I left the mouth dark. I've got another one where I did the mouth in light stitching that I'm going to show you next. But I just wanted to point out, for cuteness, you really want to be able to see the eyes, but it's not that critical to see the mouth. If you think about Hello Kitty, for example, it doesn't even have a mouth. So the mouth with the smile, while cute, and I do like how it looks on here, that is not essential, where if the eyes disappear, it really just looks kind of weird. So this is a version where the eyes are highlighted, but I left the mouth dark. And now on this next one, I also highlighted the eyes, but I also did the mouth in kind of a medium gray. Again, I didn't want it to be white and really pop and be too abrupt there, but the gray lets it show up really nicely, which is, it's a similar shade of gray to what I did around the eyes there. So for this one, I used the Warm Neutrals fabric bundle. It's got an almost black, this is actually black with some very dark gray and then some little silver highlights, and then a white on white print as well. So that is the new skunk pattern in the Funny Faces Quilt Block of the Month Club. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and I'll see you next month.